No, is it?
Yeah, I've always got the best one year.
No, it's 622.
But we do not have a.
I did it. So 1 year with 1 year.
Oh, by the way,
Great, but now
Sheldon.
to my parents.
Okay.
Yeah,
Got snipped out.
I
My dad's 80.
I didn't quite understand.
It's too much.
Okay.
Oh, I do because
Yeah.
you say it's in the Bible.
There's this weird thing in the bylaw
Of
that
course,
yeah,
It's kind of,
4 years and you're out.
I think it's like,
Okay.
unless
Less
he was great.
Your-
And then just had to be isolated.
co-chair is news. In which case you get another year and
My
then
mom is essentially like a caretaker, right?
so it's had 5 years
The thing is,
because you wouldn't know.
that are necessary, like, there's like a list of things.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
You can do all
Up to you entirely, so you should.
you know, so you can't,
Yeah, to think about it.
yeah, like that doesn't.
Okay.
In any case, I would need to. Hello, how are you? Understand my.
Hello.
Oh, okay. Oh, so it's not like a not like urgent.
I didn't realize it was a sign in.
I'm going to try to.
Yeah, we're fast around.
So.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
It's busy, but good. I'm going to the holiday.
Chairs, January.
Uh-huh.
January, so. I can get it on there.
You know, like these-
I appreciate that.
You know. You know, you've had a tough year,
I have.
you know, I really don't need it.
Yeah, I really want. I, yeah. Let me. You need a pen?
I should, but
I have one in my bag.
Sure.
I'd have to dig it up.
That's all I have to do.
The pen's right there, so.
Okay. Yeah. So that's, you know, I can send you the text if you care to see it or whatever. But that's sort of what I had discussed with him. And he seems to wish to stay on, but it's up to you too.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah.
Um.
Hi.
Hey, Madge.
You know, I learned this with Max. Whenever I get an from C7, I would like for them to just do. Nothing. For me to be able to move them into.
No, my buddy.
Well, I have to hold, maybe I should move them to hold it. Or if I start it, when
Yeah.
stay on top.
No, but then you could,
You see the lodge available.
if you flag it, and I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
You flag it, then when you press the flag, you see all the flag things, but you could also set up a whole series of folders, and then within that, you could have folders within folders.
Wow.
So all of that's possible, and, you know, I'm sure the office staff would be happy to help. you.
Yeah. I mean.
Madge, you need to sign in, and I couldn't scoot it all the way
Oh,
over to you.
yes, sorry, I was on my phone and I didn't notice.
Yeah, we need to do that.
Yeah.
Cause I don't wanna miss. There's a lot of stuff coming in.
Yeah,
You know,
well, it's.
so I think you have.
Yeah, you could do about that.
That bond, yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, how you doing?
How's that going?
Hey, man,
Hello. Yeah.
How you doing?
Well,
Sit off camera.
one of these stuff.
Yeah.
You want to see Stuff my face.
Yeah, I did that once. Just go back.
Jeffy's here.
Yeah, she did her office.
My buddy who works for the entrance.
Ben, how you doing?
What's up, Doug?
Hey.
Every year. Yeah. His I guess, you know, I the same block. But I don't know.
How are you?
Yeah, I mean, it is, we get. Yeah, I mean, we still, yeah, I know it's. Wow. So we, you know, leave, from scripted.
Yeah, I think.
11 is tomorrow.
Yeah, so, he gets to know. Hotel fund, we pay for it, but they still get decent, and we give a hotel and it's seats.
We need one more.
That's a.
Kristen should be coming. She didn't tell me yet.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't, I 6, 7, 10 years, and that's why. Wow.
Because,
I already have my.
Yeah, we have.
When I go to other events, I can ask them.
Has anybody gotten this list to sign in?
Yeah, my. Oh, it does. Yes, I mean, something like that. That's otherwise just.
The pen came apart. Guess I'm not
Yeah.
using that one.
That's weird.
What, this pen's here.
I got one. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
Relax, can you hear me? Hey. Perfect.
It's good. No, that one's not good. Kristen, I just saw the emails.
Okay, we have the quorum, so we'll start in a minute.
We're going. Right?
There's a bell, we'll wait for whoever comes in.
Yes. You do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's.
Again.
The weather's supposed to be getting
Yeah,
worse over.
yeah, we'll probably leave here in the rain, so. Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the November 21st, 2023 steering committee meeting of Community Board 7 Manhattan. And we have a quorum, so we can begin. First, it's my responsibility to announce those who have been given waivers to attend remotely. Seema Reddy has a waiver to attend due to unexpected childcare responsibilities. Next, we have a new board member. Just appointed within the last week, filling the vacancy created when Kevin Corte, who's out of the district. Our new member's name is Carrie Alexander, and please welcome him as you may see him at your meetings. He will spend this month attending, reviewing various committees in order to settle on those he wishes to join. So please, if you see him there, he is a board member, he can speak. I'm not sure he can vote yet because he is a member of any committee, but he is definitely able to participate. I would like to immediately get to the vote in order to extend our senior task force for one more year. As I wrote to you, our bylaws require that every task force exists for 12 months and must be renewed via a vote of the steering committee. So is there anybody willing to call this question?
Yes.
Okay,
Can I say something in favor?
yes, of course you can.
Roberta's really has an amazing rapport with all the people in the community that do any services for seniors, and I would hate to see that jeopardized in any way.
I think we all agree with that.
You're here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, can we vote then? All in favor of extending?
Emphatically, yes.
Do I need to text Alex about this?
We aren't doing that. We don't need to do this. Okay,
Seema
anyone
voted.
opposed? Anyone abstaining? Okay, Roberta, you're in business for another year. Thank you very much. I've been attending a number of the borough president training sessions to see what they're interested in having us know this year. I did one on parliamentary procedure, and that led to my doing some more research on Robert's rules to sort of look at where we fall short and where we've been in compliance. I'd like to suggest one change now and then perhaps discuss the second. The one I'd like to discuss is that we add the item on our agendas for committees and for full board to have a voice vote, at least approving the agenda at the beginning of the meeting. I think that will make folks conscious more of what it is that we're there to do and what our business is. And I think it is required in Robert's rules, and it's not been something that we have traditionally done. So if there are any comments on that, let me know.
I have a question. So so what if somebody objects to an agenda that's already been set and there are speakers there at the time of the meeting? Some agencies come to present on it and.
You can vote on whatever it is, the change that they wish to make. They can't just say, I object to the agenda. They have to say, I would like to see this change in the agenda.
Okay, and if somebody wants to add something to the agenda right then?
It would be under new business presumably.
Okay.
But that would be, again, whoever's chairing the meeting, their call. But.
Okay, but like anything that requires a vote or something, that still has to be noticed.
Yes.
72 hours or
Yes,
whatever.
yes.
You know, we can't just have a new item, put it there at the time of the meeting and start voting on it.
No.
No, okay.
No.
I just wanted to.
So to practice what I've just preached, can I have a voice vote to approve our agenda? Let me remind you of what's on it. Okay. Chair update, district manager update, proposed resolution for Peter Arndtsen. Chair reports from committees, including any agenda items for full board, old business, new business. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Yeah.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of approving the agenda?
Aye.
Okay, we have now complied. The one other one that
And we voted on something before we approved it.
but from here on out, right? There is also something that I know Richard has called to my attention before. There is no such thing in Robert's rules as a friendly amendment.
Right.
We have a culture of adhering to that practice. What does this group think about requiring a vote on a friendly amendment? It would mean that you say, yes, it's a friendly amendment. That would make it more likely that board members would perceive it to be aligned with the intent of the resolution and those who wrote it. But does anyone have a comment over whether we should do that? Richard?
it is true that Robert rules does not contain any reference to a friendly amendment. But I think it's a very useful tool that we've used for decades, and I wouldn't change it at all. The caveat is that whoever is chair of the committee should have it should be clear in his mind or her mind that it is really something that the committee would approve if it, you know, if it came to it, because it's really a committee resolution, and the chair stands in for the committee. But I wouldn't change. It's actually. I don't know that I would object to. I think Shelley has, but you know, I don't know that there's any law that says that we're bound by Robert's rules.
Except that they're referenced in our bylaws as sort of anything that doesn't contradict this is. Should be covered by Robert's
Well,
rules.
this will be a friendly amendment to Robert's rules.
Robert's rules, you know. There's
Yes, you can-
20,000 books into Robert's rules, but when I've been co-chair of a committee or representing, I kind of look to see how the committee has.
Yeah.
So, you know, in line with what we're saying, you know, just, you know, and often the friendly amendment is something we hadn't thought about in the committee.
Okay.
I think it's often, you know, it was one step that we hadn't realized, you know, was missing.
I mean, if a committee member objects to it, you know,
They're gonna say it.
they're going to say something, and then
happens.
then it probably shouldn't be.
A friendly amendment.
It should be a vote.
Mark. you
Adding
want-
also, you have a hand up from Seema on Zoom.
Okay,
So I agree with everything that's been said, so I won't repeat it. What I would add is that maybe it makes sense. First of all, it needs to be non-substantive in a way that is not contrary to the intent of the resolution. And I think that might be suitable fodder for the next time we talk about the bylaws, that maybe we should build it in so that then we don't have to have this discussion again.
okay. Doug,
No, I think what Richard just mentioned was what I was going to say, that if it became an issue and somebody wanted to object to the friendly amendment, then it would be known and someone could make a motion. And so if there's no resistance to it, then you go with the flow. But if somebody objects, then it becomes procedural. Does that make sense, Richard?
and can we hear from Seema?
You know, I've never quite understood this. So I've also been to the same parliamentary training, and my understanding is when a resolution is presented, it becomes sort of the body, not necessarily of committee or the person who's representing it. So my question becomes, who decides that it is a friendly amendment?
Normally, it would be the person presenting the resolution, which is likely to be a committee co-chair.
But I don't think that's actually how it should be for Robert, according to Robert's rules.
Right. Didn't we have at the last full board a friendly amendment offer that I think Richard, you said you didn't want to accept it. Am I wrong with that?
I think
That did happen,
That
right?
does happen.
Yeah,
I never. I haven't.
Well, it may not, but it does happen.
But it does
I
happen.
could be mistaken, but
Yeah, no,
I
I mean, there's always will you accept this as a friendly amendment? Yes or no?
But
And
isn't it likely that the same group of people who will vote to say yes, it's friendly, or no, it's not friendly, would likely vote that way on the actual issue?
Yeah, it just saves time.
Right.
It makes it a lot simpler.
Kelly?
Yeah, I think that the point may be made, but I want to emphasize it more. There's no such thing as a friendly amendment.
Right. Yeah, that's how we started.
Started that.
This board over time, and the fact is that it causes more problems than it's worth. Because what is friendly, what's not friendly, and it's a whole discussion about what may be a major issue. Where it sounds like it's friendly, it's a minor issue. So I think we want to eliminate friendly amendments forever. One, because they're not a part of parliament. Second, because there are so many iterations of how this comes out that to try to analyze it and put it into a bylaw, there's just, too much to deal with, and we'll have new situations all the time of what we do here. And I don't think any parliamentarian can really deal with it because it's a matter of opinion of what is and what isn't. So I just suggest that since it doesn't exist, that we eliminate it.
I think before you walked in, the consensus of the table was around keeping it. So I guess the question is, can we have an informal show of hands, not to be called a vote? That just sort of said, how many think we should keep it? So let's see. Okay, and how many think we should not?
Yeah.
I think the keeps are there. I think what we need to do maybe is to ensure that it is properly utilized. And that it is not used to advance a major change in a resolution.
I think it would be more effective if the people who offer a friendly amendment, because it's usually, not always, usually happens at the full board meeting. If they attended the committee meeting, we could avoid this altogether.
Because they could offer it at that level or when there's.
And just in the interest of efficiency and everybody's time, the friendly amendment often takes up a tremendous amount of time at a full board meeting. And often nothing gets resolved. That's my opinion. and my answer.
I concur.
Yeah.
What he said.
Richard,
One thing we might want to think about is we encourage people read the resolutions in advance of the meeting.
yes, that would be great.
Pick up the phone, call the co-chair, and discuss it, see if the co-chair agrees. So you don't have a debate that takes away from the discussion of the main issue. But you know, a lot of stuff can take place outside meetings.
Yeah, I think we ought to work on that.
I think that's a good point. However, I think in theory, that's great, but I think from a practical standpoint, I think it's kind of a pie in the sky, to be honest with you. And at the end of the day, I mean, who's to determine what's friendly and what's not friendly?
Well,
And it's not part of Robert's rules, so I think we just get rid of it.
I think there's a strong enough support that I'm not prepared to do that. But I suggest we think about this, and if you want to think about what guidance to give our co-chairs who are presenting at full board around this matter, we should think about that strongly. Mark?
So, I take the point about not wasting time on what's supposed to be a time saver. And so Robert's rules say that if any one person calls for a roll call vote, then you have to have a roll call vote. You don't vote on whether to have a roll call vote, you just do it. So if applying that logic here, if there is an objection to a friendly amendment, then you just go to a vote, and then you don't waste all the time that we've been talking about here. I think that might be a solution that allows us to keep it, but only if it really adheres to the intent, which is minor non-substantive amendments and changes that don't affect the outcome or the thinking that went into it.
Yeah, I think that's the key. They really should be non-substantive.
Right.
You know, language.
Question. Is what you're saying, Mark, that if someone proposes a friendly amendment and there are objections, then it basically just goes to it being an amendment?
That is voted on.
Yes, it's not a friendly or non-friendly, it just goes straight to an amendment.
And you vote on it the way you ordinarily would.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Okay,
Sounds.
I think that may be a middle ground here. That sounds good. Okay, moving right along, and that was useful discussion to clarify things for myself, certainly, and I hope for others. So let's turn to the district manager report. Max, are you available there?
Sure, sounds good. I'll quickly go through this because I'm very excited about what we're doing after that, and I think most of you are. So first, it's just a reminder, a save the date for the potluck, which we're going to hold next month on the proposed steering date, 12/19. Beverly and I are still working out whether we're going to cancel steering or whether we're going to hold the potluck immediately afterwards and maybe perhaps shift steering to a little bit earlier in the evening. But we'll let everyone know. We're going to send out signups so that way everyone can, it's a cool little software that Seema shared with us for figuring out, so that way everyone can see what everyone's bringing, so that way not everyone brings the same thing. We're going to plan to send that link out after we get through this week sometime, so just be on the lookout for that. two other reminders. First, the protocol is to send resolutions. If your committee passes a resolution, to send them to Jesse, to Alex, to myself, to all three of us within 5 business days of your committee meeting. And we really need to stick to that, so that way we can send these resolutions out on time the Friday before full board. And the final reminder is please share with Jesse primarily, but you're welcome to put me or Alex on the CC line as well, the votes and attendance from your meeting. Because we're doing minutes in a different way, we really need the votes and the attendance from your meeting, so we can annotate the YouTube for everyone to see afterwards. And that's my report, actually.
Thank you. Next, we have a draft resolution that actually was revised late this afternoon to add some language that Mark Diller was kind enough to add that strengthens our feelings and expresses more fully our appreciation. We did get it up.
Would you like me to share that on the screen, Beverly?
That'd be great.
I think I might be able to do that. Give me a second.
But I will also read it because it's not very long.
You know, this Peter Sir.
Yeah.
I know that.
Okay.
This guy.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, okay, this resolution is based on the following facts. Peter Arndtsen is retiring from his position as executive director of the Columbus Amsterdam bid. He has held that position since 1998 and has guided the bid through growth in programming, through can't read my writing. Good times and bad, through cyclical economic downturns and the disruption and heartache of the COVID pandemic, and later the flowering of a robust open streets program that both built community and empowered local small businesses. Peter embraced and promoted the Bloomingdale Neighborhood History Group, further building a sense of community and shared experience. As a close partner of Community Board 7, he has been a constant presence at our meeting, consistently championing the interests of our most vulnerable neighbors and those deserving of our special attention and respect. He has worked tirelessly in support of the West Side community, especially in the area north of West 96th Street. Therefore, be it resolved that Community Board 7 Manhattan extends a heartfelt thank you to Peter for his service to our community and wishes him the best for his retirement.
I second it.
Should we call the question and vote? Yes. Sure. Okay, and then we can discuss further.
Good idea.
I
Okay,
think we should frame it.
we should frame it. Well, we'd have to make it pretty, but.
Yes.
Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? It's unanimous.
Beverly, may I add something?
Yes.
Jesse and I work with Peter very frequently, and he is the most communicative person that we work with, from agency liaisons to the other bid directors. And that's not to put anyone else down, but it just shows how above and beyond Peter has gone in my almost 2 years here. It's so evident just how much he cares about his community, and in how he answers the phone at all times of the day and is always willing to help. And it's just made my job easier. And I know Jesse's too. She would say the same thing if she was here. And I really appreciate everything Peter's done for me and for Community Board 7 in my short time here. I also know Peter is on the line if we would like to hear from him at some point.
Yeah, there he is.
Well, perhaps, are there others who would like to speak first? And then we will certainly ask.
Peter, I just want to suggest that now's the time to apply to the community board.
I'm hoping I can still attend.
Of course you can.
Of course.
an honored guest. Doug?
I'll just add that even before I was part of this board, I used to see Peter here all the time. I didn't know if you were part of the board, and then I learned about the bid, and I just echoing everything in the letter. And what a nice guy you are. And that just means a tremendous, that's so important to me. And I just, and thank you for all of your participation at BCI and chiming in about the, supporting applicants and informing us about issues. Just, it's a pleasure to know you.
Well, I could go on and on about this neighborhood and about the community board. I learned so much. I'm sorry. Anyway, I've learned so much, and it's been a tremendous opportunity to do things for the in this neighborhood. And so it has really worked out well for me to be able to attend. And sorry, I'm having a little bit of trouble with my throat for some reason. So in any case, thank you.
Any further remarks?
Sure.
Yeah.
Shelley?
Yeah, people don't know that the impacted things that we were discussing and involved with. I think the most prominent was the Bloomingdale Inclusive Playground, where Peter served actively on the task force for 4 years or so. We had it, and I can go through a whole series of things. Housing development, concern with homeless, concern with sanitation, concern with open streets, and making a better community in an area that was neglected for forever. And I think we brought 96th Street down to 10th Street alive and vibrant, and hopefully your successor will continue in your footsteps.
You're here. Yeah. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you all.
Okay. We now have our chair reports, and can we start with transportation?
Sure, we had an update on the MTA's 20-year needs assessment. And we also had an application, which was amazing. And we also had an application for a residential loading zone, which we did not approve. So we will actually not have any resolutions for full board.
Thank you.
And if I could just jump in, we had the public hearing on the DOT proposed rules for dining out NYC. I was grateful to the chair for allowing me to present our a snapshot of our resolution. If you were keeping score at home, the most popular topics were the objections to the hours of operation, even though they were mostly those that were in the statute. Side note that the SLA rules are different than the DOT rules. So it'll be interesting to see if somebody actually comes around and takes the drinks off the table to 10 o'clock. They haven't to date. And to the need for clear passageways. There were also a healthy number of folks who thought that the regulations were too onerous on restaurateurs, and that especially having to take them down and then rebuild them in for after 3 or 4 months. I think the most notable part of the hearing was, except for Commissioner Rodriguez, who was there to welcome folks, I didn't see anybody at a commissioner level actually listening to the testimony. I'm hoping somebody was taking good notes. Thanks.
Thank you. Can I ask a quick question of transportation chairs? Is it relevant to what has just been announced? No. Okay, can you hold it then? BCI?
Yes, hey, this is Ben. We had 10 resolutions across a number of different items, new applications. There was 6 new applications, 1 cannabis dispensary, a number of method of operation applications. All of them were unanimously approved. We had 1 item where we had 1 member who had to excuse themselves, was was the term exactly? Not eligible, but beyond that, it was a 7,000 overall cannabis.
Okay. Appreciate that. And so those will be at the next full board.
Yes.
And do we have any more applications coming in on the cannabis front that we're aware of?
I'm sure there have been. We're gonna go on the next one, but Max, if you have an update as to how many new cannabis applications there's been.
Actually, I don't think we have any right now, at least. I'm not sure we're going to get any right now, but obviously we'll let everyone know. But in fact, I'm 100% sure we don't have any for the upcoming BCI committee. Doesn't mean we won't get any next week, but as of now, no.
Okay, thank you.
Last Friday was the deadline.
For their first wave.
Yeah, that was
right.
Closed.
So everyone.
We have a hand from Peter.
Peter.
Sorry, I just have to excuse myself. I got a call coming in, and I really appreciate this. This is the first time I've been on the steering committee, and I will look forward to seeing you all in the future, if that's okay.
Oh,
sure.
Yes, Peter.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you all, and thank you for your work. It's really important. So keep it up, please.
I just one thing for me, I just want to say that I think this last BCI meeting, we had effectively included cannabis as part of the overall process using kind of a similar process. So, you know, I think there's a bunch of work that was done up front to kind of figure out how to include cannabis. And I think at least in the last meeting, it appears to be kind of woven in part of our process. So I think we should be able to process it once.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's
Reservation.
We had two things. One was Sheldon, which is building or replacing the fence they have on their second to top layer with a really beautiful metal, new kind of fencing that's much more attractive than chain link and seemingly shorter than the one that's there, take up less space. Of course, we proved it unanimously. And then there was something in the old Calhoun School on West 73rd Street, but we tabled it because there was just too much missing that was for information, and it still says Calhoun School up here, so we don't know actually what's going in there. Okay. So we'll come back.
So that's one
resolution.
Right. Parks.
Do you want to go or should I go?
Let's toss a coin. I'll talk. It was a clean sweep for what used to be the Spectre Playground is now going to be called the West 85th Street Playground at Central Park. It was a vote of 8-0 to 0. I had 2 zeros. It was a great conversation. So there'll be one resolution. And it would most likely, our ship is heading toward the shore of no meeting in December. Because it's on December 19th and we've been reaching
Unless
out.
something materializes.
Yes, we've been reaching out to all the likely.
So far, we've reached out to DPR, Riverside Park Conservancy and Central Park Conservancy. They're usually the ones who bring us resolutions. We've reached out to them. They've all said that they have nothing.
Okay.
So I think we will most likely just cancel it.
Okay.
It's been a robust year for Parks and Rec, so I think the committee could use a little bit. Okay.
What year?
So at our last committee meeting, we had Leonie Hempson, who was executive director of Class Size Matters, which is an advocacy group on class sizes. She shared her study with us, the benefits of class sizes. You know, the governor signed into law that requires class sizes to be reduced. There's a 20% phase in over 5 years. Right now, only 69 of 1,600 schools in New York City are in compliance, which when the law went into effect this fall. So she and her working group were meeting on November 13th when they were going to put out their findings. I have not heard back from her, but she went through kind of her ass with the committee. One was that we share her report with elected leaders and others in the community, which she's passed on to Max. And there was some other asks in the report in terms of capital, staffing, and funding. But as we know, the mayor's funding, he's cutting funding for education. So we had an initial discussion around the table after she left, and it was kind of lofty, but we're gonna resurrect that discussion at our meeting on Tuesday.
If, the costs of additional teachers are the hugest part of that.
Right.
And the space issues are obviously huge
Right.
as well. Even with falling enrollment, that's not gonna be easy to achieve.
Exactly.
Thank you. And so there's no resolution
No,
for full board and a
Not yet.
continuing discussion. on this
continuing
matter.
discussion. The feeling was it was the asked for a lot,
Yeah.
given the constraints.
Shelley and Sonia. HHS.
So, we're gonna be having a joint meeting with, I hate to use the word joint, and I hate the idea of a potluck.
Yeah.
Full of an entity or festival or something. It's going to be, we're gonna do it together with housing. Tibita had been instrumental in making the arrangements. I followed through with Department of Social Services and Homeless Services. And it's gonna be an update on the asylum seekers, the sanctuary shelters in our community, and what's generally happening, which most people don't know. Which was partially attributed to the fact that there haven't been any problems. Identifiable, and that's good, because we know that people said, where are they? I said, what do you care if we don't know that? So it should be interesting when we have people, Manhattan person or from DSS, so Lonnie Irvin, and a person who's directly dealing with the issue in our community, Ms. Tibita, and it should be very cool. What's the date? This is next Tuesday, 28th. 7 o'clock, 27th.
Yeah, and if you go from committee to committee around the table, there are other places where this issue surfaces, and certainly in the education sphere, our schools are feeling very, very overrun by large numbers of students from this group who are attending and have strong service needs, the language development, and so. Yeah, Roberta.
I've been representing C7 CD Open Arms, which is a group founded by Jewish Community Center and parents from PS87, working with the Department of Education. And Jesse from our office also attends, and when Kristen doesn't have work, she attends, but I've been free in the morning, so I've been attending the meetings. And the big concern now is that many of the parents, many of the families have been given 60-day notices starting about 3-4 weeks ago. Yeah. And while the Department of Education, if a child, say, is at PS 87, that child's place at 87 is saved. But if the parents are in a shelter, say at 85th Street, and they have to leave that shelter, some other family could build that shelter. By the time they reapply, they could be sent to Staten Island or Brooklyn or somewhere, and the child, it would take too long to get the child to PS 87. So even though the place at PS 87 is preserved, it might not work now. And so there's a whole group of advocacy on that.
Right. Right. Okay, thank you. Land use.
Our committee meeting was dominated by the mayor's recent proposal to amend the zoning resolution, which he calls the city of yes. The first tranche was an environmental approach to the zoning resolution, which has already been passed. The second, in what we discussed last week, is with the economic issues. In particular, trying to encourage commercial development on, in all boroughs, in all areas, to remove barriers to commercial development. A lot of anachronisms that are baked into the zoning resolution of 1960 something. For the most part, our general sense was that it was benign and useful. There are a few areas where we're not so sure. We're going to try to partner with BCI on this, and at present, we intend to discuss it at our December meeting, if possible, vote in January, because because city planning is probably going to vote in February, and we want to give it as much lead time as possible, especially if we have substantive protection.
Thank you. So, there's nothing you have for the board.
No resolutions.
December,
Right.
but you are hopeful to get one for January. Got it. Housing. Sounds
It was a,
they had no separate meeting this month, and they're meeting with you.
yes,
Right, got it. Strategy and budget.
Strategy and budget, so. The district needs statement for fiscal year 2025. Yes, because we're now in fiscal year.
Yes.
So fiscal year 25, which starts next July 1, 2024. Has been completed. The expense and capital priorities have been completed. I inputted everything because they're going to change the portal for next year, and I felt it was such a horrible portal that it was too mean to have to train somebody else to do it. You input information into a box that's about this big. You can see 3 lines of language, and you can proof it at the end in the final document. Well, the other piece of it that's really bad is under Health and Human Services, for example. You're allowed to have your most important item, which for our board is seniors. But where mental health is also an issue, you can't have that as an item. I inputted that into the document, even though I clicked a different box. So the writing is there. And I did that with several of the other areas. So even though you guys can't see it, next year when it pops up, the language will be there. We don't have to reinvent it. Seema, Anthony, and I are going to be meeting, and Lance are going to be meeting with Max in hopefully early December, and create a form that each committee can use for each item, so that it'll have more information for us. We can do the writing. That's not the problem. The problem is getting all the information. And Jolie Golden met with a group of us in October, and she's coming to the January meeting to steering to do a little mini demonstration of how to look at data. So what we did in October, we looked at SNAP benefits, and we looked where there were no SNAP, where people didn't have SNAP benefits. So you think, okay, people that don't have SNAP benefits don't need them. But it turns out that there are areas of the community that people should have SNAP benefits into them. So it's a kind of a deep dive, and she's going to make it into a 15. We spent over an hour. She's going to make it into a 10 to 15 minute presentation. But we can start looking at things like that, where they're underserved communities. So we can, when we go to put our district needs in, we actually can put data.
Thank you. And I read through the district needs that have been submitted through Roberta this month, and it's an astonishing large piece of work. And I know many of you worked on component pieces of it, but to see it all together and the amount of work that went into it is really quite something.
And the committees have done a great. The committees have done a really good job, but we want to make the process going forward a little bit easier for everybody involved.
Yeah, and also the items that we choose to highlight, make them as specific as possible, so the likelihood for funding is as maximum.
And we will get feedback from city planning probably middle to end of February. Alex has set up this database for us with the capital, one of the expense, And what we can do is compare items so we can follow items that, you know, parks and environment have asked for certain things for the last 5 years. We can track and see. Was it funded? How will it be funded? When will it be funded? And that we can actually more easily track stuff. Thank you.
And while you're at that senior task force.
Senior task force. Getting back, we met this past Thursday, and we're not gonna meet in December, there's just too much going on, but. Speaking of staff benefits, one of the biggest problems that all of the agencies we're having was having people, they help people fill out their staff applications as do our elected officials. HRA has not had enough staff. So people apply for staff benefits and then don't get them. And these are people that are through the security benefit. So the word is that the HRA is hiring some more people, but we will keep looking at that.
I have a question. Is it possible they get college students to volunteer?
To work for HRA.
Yeah, just to do the data and to help them process it. It's just an
It's
idea.
a great idea.
Yeah. I'm sure these students are always looking for extra credit and stuff to put on their resume.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. The other problem with it, that I've been involved with this, is then they want the person who is applying to call and have an interview. And that's where it goes sour. And if the interview isn't done in a certain way, in a certain time, they just drop the case and then you have to redo it. So it would be a two-step process.
I was unaware of that. Thank you for the clarification.
With the unions.
They waived the interview during COVID.
Yes.
But they need federal approval to waive it permanently, and feds are not fine.
Right, I think as it relates to SNAP and maybe SCREE or both, Linda Rosenthal and I think maybe Brad have a bill that is going to streamline the renewal process for SCREE.
But that's screen.
SCREE, and I thought it was SNAP too, that there was.
No, SNAP is federal.
Right.
No, it's fun, but it comes.
But it goes through the state, yeah.
So we are looking at it. We're talking with, you know, all the electeds have reps on the senior task force, and whether they attend the meeting or not, we send out information to them. So we've reached out to Manther's office and to you know, everybody. So okay, it helps to know. You know, it's nice. It's what happens is the local organizations help each other. You know, if one has a problem that they've resolved, they can often talk about it. Sure. And some of the problems are just, you know, some agencies, if they're going to get back to us, then we never did that.
I know the CBOs help with applications, but that's the outbound application, not once it gets to HRA. Yeah.
Any further comments?
I just wanted to say something about the district needs statement. I don't know if everybody got a copy of it. Did they, or?
It's on the website.
I encourage everybody to read it. It's first of all, Roberta really did an incredible job. It's 40 pages long, and it's really well written, and I know that all the committees turned in work that was helpful to them, of course, but the way it flows, it's just really spectacular. As Beverly said, spectacular work. It really is, and you should read it because it'll indicate what, you know, what our top needs are.
Do you think New York City took the word portal too literally? It's terrible that they made it so difficult to enter it. It's crazy.
Yeah,
They can change it.
The city planning people met with us last year. They met with us over the summer, and they did say that they are working on changing it, but
it's not friendly.
Beverly's worked. Beverly.
I did it 1 year.
And I thought, you know, we were lucky that she lives in these.
Thank you. Okay, we're up to old business. Any new business? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So move. Second.
Oh, you want to just sit here? Thank you all.
Thank you.
Vote to adjourn.